My name is Ellis Johnson, and welcome back to the True North Network, where I bring to you your Thursday night preview. That's right, we're in week 9 right now. We got a really nice matchup on the schedule. Finally, we've had 2 of the past Thursday night games hit the over both times, which is awesome. We've finally seen some scoring, and this week, we get to see one of the best offenses take place. I'm talking the Eagles are going against the Texans. Now, I'm not a Texans fan. I just like Ellis Johnson. I got a jersey, so why not wear it? But the Eagles looked amazing last week, and we'll dive right into it. Speaking of last week, we had a whole bunch of turkeys when it comes to touchdowns. We had A.J. Brown, which we'll see. He had 3 touchdowns. Donta Foreman, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard. A whole bunch of people had 2. It was a massive day for fantasy, and I hope it all worked out for you. But let's break it down for the week 9 as we start this week. First of all, injuries. Only injury on the dock here. We have Nico Collins, who missed last week with a groin injury. I don't think he's going to play this week, but you never know. And that's it. There you go. It's the only injury we really have. So let's get right into it. Must starts. Boom. Must starts are easy. I'm talking first and foremost, we got to talk about Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has been awesome. He's the RB17 on the season in half PPR, but more importantly, he's had 70% of the Eagles running backs rushing attempts and 65 of their targets. He is their main guy. For a team that's often using multiple backs, he's the clear guy this year. Plus, the fear was that Jalen Hurts was going to steal rushing touchdowns, and the thing is it came true. Hurts has 6 rushing touchdowns on the year. But still, Sanders is managing to pull it off, so he's a great play. And speaking of last week, I'm talking the last 2 weeks, the Houston defense has allowed 362 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 weeks, combining Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry. Sanders should have a day. This team can't stop anything. They can't even stop Paul Blart on his little segue. There you go. He can't stop it. They can literally stop nothing. And the best part is we know that nothing, well, at least no Texan, is going to be in the way of Miles Sanders. So the only thing that can get his way is Hurts rushing, but we've seen him have success anyways. Lock him in. I think he's a top 10 play this week. Next up, we have A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, what a week. My God. 3 touchdowns, 2 of them in double coverage. Honestly, they're basically the mirror images of each other. Exact same thing, just dominating. And he was so close to having another 2 touchdowns. It wasn't for a couple of bad calls and everything. But A.J. Brown is going to have another great week. He is truly the swole Batman. This Houston defense isn't that great, just in general. I mean, the thing is, though, is statistically, they're pretty good against the pass. And that's mostly because every team can just run on them. But either way, he has the targets. He has the big playability. He's gigantic. You're playing A.J. Brown. He's the WR7 on the season. Fire him up this week once again. Next up, we got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the QB4 on the season. You got to play him. He's an easy must start. And he finishes this Philly trifecta. But the thing is that Houston, once again, actually has been pretty decent against quarterbacks when it comes to fantasy. Now, is this because they allow a lot of rushing? And that's true, they do. But they actually haven't been that bad against rushing quarterbacks either. I mean, they haven't really played any, but they're allowing the 8th fewest rushing TDs to the quarterback position. Hurts is a different beast. I don't expect those stats to really stick. But the thing is it's just interesting. I don't think he's going to have a monster week, but he should have a very good week. Fire him up as your QB1 for sure. Next up, we got our solid starts. This one's easy. We have Dallas Goedert. Coming off the bye and everything, he is the tight end 8 in points per game. And he's exactly what fantasy managers hope for. Not the best, but he's nowhere near the worst, and he is locked in every week. He's getting the targets, he's getting the yards, he's on a high-powered offense. You just lock him in. All right, that's it. Next up, we got flex considerations. And speaking of flexing, we talked about swole Batman. Let's talk about swole Robin. I just came up with that. But let's talk about Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is an overqualified WR2 on this team. He's a really great route runner. He's everything you want in a number 2, and he's perfect to stand beside A.J. Brown. The thing is that he's been inconsistent because of Brown's hogging all the work. The good part, though, is we've seen him in monster games. With the defense really targeting A.J. Brown, Smith has been able to break loose for a couple of really big games. The thing is, though, he only has 67 receiving yards over his last 2 weeks. So I don't love that. And makes him a high-end WR3 this week. So lots of upside, definitely a lot of downside. I don't mind him as a flex option. Moving on. Wow, I thought we were only talking about the Eagles here. I forgot. Hey, Texans, wake up. Here we are. Dameon Pierce. He is our first Texan to hit the list here. As a flex option, Dameon Pierce, he's been a great rookie. He's been excellent. He's been getting a whole bunch of touches. I believe he has 15 or more touches in all but 2, and those other 2 were 11 and 14. So he's getting a lot of work. The only issue is he's not getting the passing work. It's still going to Rex Burkhead. So really, he can get game scripted out. And the thing is when they're heavy dogs, chances are Houston's going to be trailing, meaning that they still want to run. They run regardless. But the thing is that he's might get a little bit game scripted out. We might see a bit more Burkhead. So I don't see him as a solid start. I see him as a flex play. But with that much work, you got to play him, lock him in. And remember, don't put him in your flex, though. Put him in your RB spot. But I have him as that RB3 kind of play. Next up, Brandon Cooks. Now, based on the season, this might be even a bit high for Brandon Cooks. But the thing is when you're talking about flex, we can even talk about WR4s. And I think he's a WR4. He's had a very disappointing season. He's been super up and down. He's not even in the top 40 when it comes to points per game at the position. The thing with Philly, too, is they also have 3 great corners. But once again, I expect them to be down. I mean, Davis Mills is going to have to pass. And he's really the only option in town. So I don't love playing him. I don't think he has a ceiling, which is my biggest issue when it comes to flex plays. However, if you're really stuck, he should get enough work to not kill you. Now we got our sits. The sits are easy. Davis Mills, no chance. I mean, there's no way. Philly has such a good defense. They've had 3 corners, as we said again. Their D-line is good. Davis Mills is going to really, really struggle this one. There's no way. Even with his long neck, he's not going to be able to look past this one. Next up, Nico Collins, Philip Dorsett, Chris Moore, the other 3 Houston receivers. As you said about Collins, he might not play, but he's clearly the WR2 on the team. I'd still think you touch over fantasy. As for the other 2, no way you get enough targets out of it, and not in a bad matchup. My honorable sits, we have the Texans, tight ends, all of them, don't play them. Quez Watkins caught a touchdown last week, don't get fooled. And Rex Burkhead, Dameon Pierce is still the guy, even if they're going to pass more. I don't want to play Rex Burkhead in fantasy. All right, boom. Just like that, we're by the fire. We got a right pick last week. This week, Ellis's picks. Let's go. Now, this is the biggest spread we've had in the last 3 weeks. In the last 3 weeks, we haven't had a spread bigger than 1.5 points. Finally, we have a huge favorite. That's Philly at -13 is the spread. So, here we are, and these ones are a little bit tough to pick. So I'm going to start with the over-under because it's my favorite part of this one. Philly's defense is great. Houston actually might have a decent secondary that we're not surprised with. Makes me think that there's going to be a lot of running because that's going to work on hopefully for both teams. It's probably the best recipe, meaning a shorter game, and I don't think Houston will have a lot of success keeping the score low. Give me the under. The under set at 45. Give me under 45.5 for sure. As for the spread, this one's tough. As an NFL team, you got to be able to cover. But I don't think it happens. I'm sorry. I know. Andre Johnson, sorry, buddy. But the thing is the Eagles are just that good. I'm just going to go with my gut here. There's no reason they shouldn't win by 20, making me have a touchdown, I guess, on the spread. So give me the Eagles -13. Over-under, give me the under 45.5. I didn't get my pie shop in, but don't worry, I didn't forget. Miles Sanders find the end zone for a second straight week. The pie shop is open, baby. And just like that, I'll catch you next week for the next week's barn burner between the Falcons and the Panthers, which you saw was unreal last week. So I'm actually fired up to break that down. See you later. Have a great night. And hey, enjoy your football.
My pretty baby kissed another. Stop my dad up on my feet.